Welcome to this deep exploration of one of the most brilliant and controversial minds in Islamic and Western thought, Ibn Rushd, Averroes, 1126 to 1198. Known as the guardian of the philosophers, Ibn Rushd was a scholar, physician, jurist, and philosopher whose defense of reason, science, and philosophy made him both celebrated and condemned. But why is he called the guardian of the philosophers? Because his works protected, revived, and expanded Aristotelian philosophy, keeping rationalism alive in a time when faith and orthodoxy threatened to silence free thought. His greatest intellectual battle? A direct response to Al-Ghazali's The Incoherence of the Philosophers. In his own masterpiece, The Incoherence of the Incoherents, Tahafut al-Tahafut, Ibn Rushd fiercely defended reason against religious dogmatism, insisting that faith and philosophy are not enemies but allies. This audiobook summary will explore his life, his philosophy, and his battle to keep rational thought alive, a battle that continues in our modern world. Part 1: The Life and Intellectual Journey of Ibn Rushd. 1. Early Life and Education. Born in Córdoba, Spain, Al-Andalus, in 1126, Ibn Rushd lived during the golden age of Islamic civilization, where philosophy, science, and culture thrived. Coming from a family of judges, qadis, he was well versed in Islamic law, fiqh, and jurisprudence, medicine and natural sciences, mathematics and astronomy, philosophy and logic, especially Aristotle. His brilliance caught the attention of the Almohad rulers, who made him their chief judge and personal physician. But this would later bring both fame and downfall. 2. The encounter with Aristotelian thought. Ibn Rushd was deeply influenced by Aristotle, believing that reason is a divine gift, God gave humans intellect, so we must use it. Philosophy and religion can coexist, truth in scripture and truth in philosophy are not contradictory but complementary. Science and logic should guide society, knowledge must not be restricted by religious orthodoxy. He dedicated his life to translating, interpreting, and defending Aristotle's works, bringing them back to intellectual prominence after centuries of neglect. Part 2: The Battle Against Al-Ghazali, The Incoherence of the Incoherents. One of Ibn Rushd's greatest intellectual challenges was refuting Al-Ghazali's attack on philosophy. In The Incoherence of the Philosophers, Al-Ghazali claimed that philosophy is dangerous to faith and leads to skepticism. Aristotle's ideas contradict Islamic theology. Only divine revelation, not reason, can lead to truth. Ibn Rushd fought back with a counterattack, The Incoherence of the Incoherents. 1. The core argument: faith and reason must coexist. Philosophy is not the enemy of Islam, it is a tool to understand God's creation. Truth has two levels, one for philosophers, rational, intellectual, and one for the masses, symbolic, religious. Revelation and logic must work together. The Quran encourages reasoning and reflection. 2. Defending Aristotle, the laws of nature and science. Ibn Rushd believed that Kitab 1, causality is real, events in the world happen due to natural laws, not just divine intervention. Kitab 2, science and logic explain the world, we should study nature to understand God's wisdom. Kitab 3, the universe is not created from nothing. He questioned Al-Ghazali's idea that the universe was created ex nihilo. His boldness made him a defender of reason, but also a target of religious authorities. Part 3: Ibn Rushd's legacy and impact on the world. 1. Rejected in the Islamic world, celebrated in Europe. Despite his brilliance, Ibn Rushd's ideas faced fierce opposition. Many conservative theologians saw him as a threat to religious authority. His books were banned, burned, declared heretical. The Almohad rulers who once supported him turned against him, exiling him to a remote village. But while his ideas faded in the Muslim world, they flourished in Europe. His translations were studied by Thomas Aquinas, who used Ibn Rushd's work to shape Christian theology. Jewish philosophers like Maimonides, who saw him as a bridge between faith and reason. The Renaissance thinkers, who saw him as a defender of free thought. 2. The birth of Averroism in Europe. His ideas sparked the Renaissance. European scholars called him the commentator because of his deep interpretations of Aristotle. He laid the groundwork for secular philosophy. His belief in reason over dogma influenced Enlightenment thinkers. He inspired scientific progress. His insistence on logic and empiricism paved the way for modern science. 3. His influence on modern thought. Today, Ibn Rushd's ideas are more relevant than ever. He stands as a symbol of free thought in a world of dogma, a defender of philosophy against religious extremism, a pioneer of reason, science, and progress. Themes and key takeaways. Philosophy and religion are not enemies, they seek the same truth in different ways. Knowledge should never be restricted, truth must be pursued, even if it challenges orthodoxy. Reason is a divine gift, suppressing it is suppressing God's wisdom. Science and logic explain the world, we must embrace them, not fear them. Truth has different levels, some understand through philosophy, others through faith. Conclusion. Ibn Rushd remains one of history's greatest defenders of rational thought. In a time when religious dogma sought to silence philosophy, he stood as a guardian of knowledge, reason, and science. Though rejected in his homeland, his ideas transformed Europe, influencing the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and modern philosophy. His legacy endures, reminding us that faith and reason can, and must, coexist. Thank you for joining this audiobook summary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Ibn Rushd's philosophy, be sure to like and share.